Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining UJA Federation's Rally for the People of Israel. And now, please welcome our MC for the evening, the Vice Co-Chair of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, the advocacy arm of UJA Federations across Canada, and the Chair of UJA's Jewish Foundation of Greater Toronto. Please welcome Mr. Morris Perlis.
Thank you and good evening. Looking out from my vantage point at more than 2,000 of you who took to stand steadfastly with the people of Israel is an extremely moving experience. The response from our community and friends of Israel throughout the Greater Toronto Area is overwhelming. In addition to the thousands here, hundreds more are watching these proceedings at 3 satellite locations: the York Region Lubavitch campus, the downtown Wolfe Center, and across the street at Tannenbaum Chat Wallenberg campus. As impressive as tonight's turnout is, we should not be meeting this way. We should not have to defend Israel's fundamental right to defend itself. We should not have to reiterate the obvious, that no nation on earth would ever tolerate indiscriminate missile attacks inflicted upon their communities without provocation. No nation anywhere would turn a blind eye to rockets delivered by terrorist forces that are nourished on hatred and driven by fanatical determination to destroy Israel and all our fellow Jews who live there. There can be no moral equivalency between the behavior of destructive terrorist regimes and a sovereign democratic nation fighting for the safety and security of its citizens. We all know the battle with Hamas is not a battle over territory, it's a battle for survival. It's a battle that we know we must, and of course, we will win. We are honored to have many dignitaries with us this evening. And let me, if you just let me, I will just name some of them. We're joined tonight with, I'm pleased to recognize, the following rabbis. First, Rina Arishoff, Laurie Cohen, Edward Elkin, Ilan Emanuel, Elise Goldstein, Daniel Korobkin, Tina Grimberg, Miriam Margulis, Howard Morrison, Philip Scheim, David Seed, Michael Shekel, Chaim Struckler, Roy Tannenbaum. And we also are honored to welcome DJ Schneeweiss, Consul General of Israel in Toronto. I'll just ask you to hold your applause. The Honourable James Moore, Minister of Canadian Heritage and Official Languages. Senator Linda Frum, Mark Adler, Member of Parliament. Monty Quinter, David Zimmer, Tim Hudak, Leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario. Councillor James Pasternak, City of Toronto. Councillor Howard Shore, City of Markham. And Vitaly Malkin, former member of the Russian Jewish Congress. We're also pleased to have with us a number of Federation luminaries. Liz Wolfe, Chair of the Board, Richard Venn, Senior Vice Chair of the Board, and Ted Sokolsky, President and CEO of UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. As well, Bruce Lieboff, who's chair of UJA's 2013 campaign, along with Julia Koschitzky, who is currently on her way to Israel this evening. So I'd love to recognize all of them. Thank you, Cantor Edwards. And thank you to the Beth Emeth Beis Yehuda congregation for hosting us this evening. I would like to now welcome our host synagogue senior rabbi, Howard Morrison.
Bruchim Habaim, on behalf of the Executive, Board of Directors, and congregation at Beth Emeth Beis Yehuda Synagogue, I welcome you to tonight's important rally on behalf of Israel. We are fortunate to live in Canada, where we are free and safe, where we can express ourselves fully as both Canadians and Jews. We are blessed to have a community with so many people who support Israel. In the Torah portion of this past Shabbat, our patriarch Isaac prepares to bless his son, and he remarks, Hakol kol Yaakov, v'hayadayim yedei Esav. The voice is the voice of Jacob, and the hands are the hands of Esau. Subsequent to last week's Parsha, Jacob becomes synonymous with Israel, and Esau becomes synonymous with peoples who stand against Israel's right to exist. Thus, our sages of blessed memory remarked as follows: when the voice of Jacob is light and weak, the hands of Esau will dominate. But when the voice of Jacob is strong, unified, and clear, the hands of Esau will never dominate. This past week, our brothers and sisters living in Israel have articulated a clear, strong, and unified voice for the well-being of our people. Now it is time for us, for world Jewry and Ohavei Yisrael, lovers of Israel, to articulate their own clear, unified, and strong voice in support of Israel. We are grateful for our country of Canada, which immediately articulated its voice in solidarity with Israel. Please rise as I recite on our behalfs a prayer for Canada. Please rise. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessings upon Canada, upon all those who govern our country and our province, and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and help us each in our own way to take responsibility to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of all humanity. Guard the valiant defenders of Canada, our soldiers who are serving around the world to defend the values that we cherish. Crown their sacrifices with triumph and help them to preserve liberty for a world yearning to be free. Guard their going and their coming for life and peace. May our country, in unity with all peoples who revere freedom, achieve speedily the establishment of your kingdom of truth and justice amongst all the nations of the earth. And let us say Amen. Please be seated. One of the reasons why we in Toronto are so intensely attached to Israel is because so many Torontonians live there and serve in the IDF to protect the country. In the following short video, you'll see soldier Meir Gerichter from Toronto, responsible for Iron Dome missile interception, actually comforting us as he undertakes his life-saving tasks.
שלום, קוראים לי לב, אני טכנאי בכיפת ברזל, אחראי לכשירות המערכת בסוללות.
שלום, השם שלי מאיר גריכטר מכיפת ברזל. התגייסתי מטורונטו, קנדה.
שלום, אני רב"ט עדיאל פנחסי, לוחם בכיפת ברזל.
רצינו להודות לכם על כל התמיכה שאנחנו מקבלים בימים האחרונים.
ממש מחמם לנו את הלב.
אני רוצה שתדעו שאין לכם על מה לדאוג. אנחנו פה להגן עליכם, על כל המדינה.
בקשה לי אליכם, ישמרו לפקודות פיקוד העורף, ייכנסו למקלטים שצריך, שאתם שומעים בזעקה.
אין על מה לדאוג.
אנחנו פה כדי לשמור עליכם.
אני רוצה לפנות אליכם אישית ולומר לכם שבמקום שלבוא לכאן, להסתכן ולדבר איתנו, אתם יכולים פשוט לעשות את זה, להיכנס לעמוד פייסבוק של חיל האוויר.
לשלוח לנו מכתבים, גם דרך האפליקציה של חיל האוויר בפייסבוק. מחכים למכתבים. תודה רבה.
You can always feel safe with the Israel Defense Forces.
Wow. These young people truly define the word inspiration. We are fortunate here in Toronto to be served by a Consul General of extraordinary distinction who understands our enemies well. DJ Schneeweiss is an expert on the battle against those who question Israel's right to exist. Certainly the motivating philosophy of our adversaries today. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel's Consul General for Ontario and Western Canada, DJ Schneeweiss.
Thank you very much, Morris, and thank you, everybody. Just by way of brief introduction, my name is DJ. I was born in Australia. I made Aliyah 25 years ago. I am the Israel Consul General, even though I may not sound like it. It's an honor, a deep honor, and a privilege to represent the state of Israel, the sovereign state of the Jewish people, here at this rally this evening. These are challenging times. Israel is under fire. We are forced once again to use force when we would so prefer not to have to. But despite the challenge and despite the scenes we saw in the opening video of families having to run for cover, mothers having to hug their children and tell them everything will be all right, despite the difficulties, the terror, the trauma, the dislocation, the disruption, the uncertainty, the injuries, and the loss of life, despite all these things, I'm here tonight to tell you, Israel is strong. I'm going to tell you why. Israel is strong because we are united. Israel is strong because we are helping each other. Israel is strong because we have the IDF, the world's best prepared army for this kind of mission. Israel is strong because we have the wonderful Iron Dome defense that has been invented and built over the last years to meet this very challenge. Israel is strong because we have so many heroes, many of them unsung. The people who make it possible for the IDF to pinpoint its attacks and strike only those who are involved in the violence against us. There's so many people who do the social work and volunteer to look after the families that have been dislocated and so on. So many heroes from all walks of life. We are also strong. Perhaps we are most strong precisely because of this, because we have our moral compass. We are not letting and will not let our enemies change who we are. Israel regrets the loss of civilian life on both sides of this conflict. As our opponents celebrate that loss, we regret it. This profound moral difference is the source, the fundamental source of our strength here. Another source is that we have many friends, and there's a wonderful expression of this tonight, but before I acknowledge that, I want to acknowledge here formally, proudly, and with great excitement, I want to acknowledge the friendship of the government of this great country. On behalf of myself, of the ambassador, of the entire government of Israel, it is truly an honor to know that the Harper government is our friend. We commend the Harper government for standing tall, for standing for principle, for standing up for what's right. But of course, the Harper government is not our only friend in this country. We also have a certain thing called the wonderful Jewish community of Canada. The joke is told of the trial of the mafia boss, and all of the jurors were Jewish, and they went out to deliberate after the hearings. They came back after many hours, and the judge said, "Have you reached a conclusion?" And Mr. Goldberg said, "Yes, we have." The judge said, "What is the conclusion?" Remember, it's the mafia boss, and the foreman, Mr. Goldberg, says, "We've decided not to get involved." Well, I can tell you, this community is involved, and we really respect and appreciate it. And we thank you for getting involved. We thank you for understanding that a strong, secure Israel is not only crucial to Israel, it's crucial to this community as well. We thank you for your support. We feel that support, and we want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate everybody here this evening for your activism, for your engagement, for your involvement, for caring, and for getting out there and defending our country. We also, absolutely. I also want to acknowledge that we have many, many non-Jewish friends as well, people, decent people who recognize the difference between right and wrong and recognize our fundamental right to defend ourselves. Friends, Israel is not just another country, it is the great historic project of the Jewish people in this era. It is a project which is ongoing. It is a project which brings strength to all Jews everywhere, but it is not a job that is done yet. It is not just an inheritance, but rather a work in progress in which every one of us has a role to play. Israel is a great tapestry, a great canvas of Jewish creativity and expression, of high-tech innovation, of contribution to mankind, of tikkun olam. We are much more than the sum of our battles. We have more to say and we have more to offer. And it's that Israel that I represent here. Not only the Israel under assault, but the Israel that we aspire to be, and that Israel that we will be and we will insist on being. Because so be assured that we have overcome adversity before and hostility, and we will do it again. We are strong, we are just, we are united, and together. I hear the words of O Canada. I hear every single one of the people here this evening standing on guard for us. And with that strength and with our own strength of standing on guard for Israel too, we will prevail and we will continue to build the wonderful country that is Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DJ, and it's so wonderful to have you join us as Consul General here in Toronto. In the face of such severe tension gripping southern Israel, it will be logical to assume that prospective immigrants would stay far away. But it's never been that way since the origins of our great Jewish state, and it certainly isn't that way today, as you will soon see. Please turn your attention to the video screens.
Just a few weeks ago, they took off from Gondar, Ethiopia, and landed at Ben Gurion Airport. Now in Ibim Absorption Center, the Falashmura Olim are under fire from the Gaza Strip.
אנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק איפה ייפול הקסאם הבא. זה כמו רולטה. אנחנו שומעים צבע אדום, אנחנו צריכים לצפות שזה כן יגיע אלינו.
These bomb shelters just arrived just a couple of hours ago, and it's since 7 a.m. It's been like 4 times צבע אדום.
It is a beautiful area, this area, but the situation is very difficult.
כרגע בגלל המצב אנחנו לא עובדים ובאנו לפה קצת לעזור, אמרו שפה קצת חסר, זהו.
Soon I will give you the list of אשכול, שער הנגב, שדות נגב and etc. to see how we are managing to take out the kids for resting a bit, for shows, for whatever will be.
Okay, it's okay. Until last week, this house, the Shadadi house in Sderot, was a quiet place overlooking the wide fields of the Negev. Then came the rocket from Gaza.
A roof. It's now a big hole, and we're happy that nobody was here when it happened. As you can see, there is a big hole in the back of my car that wasn't here a week ago.
In 2007, we have taken amount of $300,000 from the Victor of Tehran for the emergency fund, the SOS fund as we call. And since then, the Keren HaYesod and the Jewish federations are helping to add every time more and more money to the SOS fund, because as you know, the situation doesn't stop and the rockets are continue to fall.
In emergency situation, when we drive a car, we of course we go with open windows so we can hear a red alert, and when we hear it, what we do is we stop the car, we go out, and then we need a safe place to be there. So it's we need a lot of mobile bomb shelters that you can run and feel safe, so we can save life.
It has been said, sometimes by senior cabinet ministers themselves, that Israel has no better friend in the world than Canada. And that bold statement is not merely marketing. We know it's absolutely true. And we are certainly grateful for it. Not only do we benefit from Canada's remarkable support for Israel, but also by the general backing for Israel across the political spectrum, among other parties. The Government of Canada considered today's event so important, it asked a member of the Cabinet to come and speak to us. The Cabinet member is James Moore, and he would love to come and give us words of solidarity. Please welcome Mark Adler, the MP for this riding, York Central, the riding this event is being situated in, to introduce Mr. Moore.
Shalom Aleichem. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Adler, and I'm the Member of Parliament for York Centre, and I'm proud to be here tonight to show my solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Israel. I would also like to welcome all of you this evening to my shul and my community. I am proud to represent this area in Canada's Parliament. Let me tell you one thing you probably don't know about this area. More than 50% of Canadian Jewry live within a 30-minute drive of Bathurst and Shepherd, which is the heart of the riding of York Centre. I was the first child of a Holocaust survivor to be elected to Canada's Parliament. I stand before you tonight not only as a representative of the Harper government, but like you, as a member of this community. My father came to this country with nothing more than a number on his arm and the shirt on his back, but most importantly, hope in his heart. And I know that if he were here tonight, he would be so proud to see such a large and united community, but more important, a government and a prime minister that stands with Israel, the Jewish people, like no other in the world's history. And as a member of both the Canadian government and this community, I am so proud of our Prime Minister and the unwavering support that he has shown to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. And my friends, he does so not for political advantage, but because it is the right thing to do. I am so proud to say that I consider Prime Minister Harper not only my friend, but a true friend of the Jewish people and the State of Israel. My friends, our government, conservative government, stands with our community not only today, but more importantly, tomorrow. As Prime Minister Harper has said, history shows us that those who threaten the existence of the Jewish people are a threat to us all. It is now my great privilege and honor to introduce a true friend of the Jewish people and the State of Israel, the Honourable James Moore, Minister for Canadian Heritage, who will address us on behalf of the Canadian government.
Thank you all very much for being here in this very important event. Consul General, as you said, I'm one of the non-Jewish Friends of Israel, and I'm very pleased to be here, all the way from British Columbia. But rabbis, friends of the Jewish community, it is indeed a great pleasure to be here with all of you to stand in solidarity for something that is so important, so indeed important for all of us to stand in solidarity for. On behalf of Prime Minister Stephen Harper, on behalf of the Government of Canada, you know, as we sit here tonight, sirens are actually sounding in Israel. Families in Ashdod and Ashkelon are enduring another sleepless night while the courageous mothers try to comfort their children in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem. Tonight we gather here in solidarity and comfort, but we do so for them with one voice to let our friends in Israel know that without hesitation we all stand with them. And while we live in the relative comfort here in Canada, it's often very difficult to imagine the horrific terror that Hamas is putting them through tonight when we come together to pray for the safety of innocent Israelis and for the continued strength of the Jewish people. You know, I'm here tonight with a message from a very principled leader and a prime minister for which we should all be proud, a man whose support for Israel is unshakable and unyielding. You see it publicly, I have seen it privately in conversations with officials and conversations with caucus, the way his energy rises when he sees what's right and what's wrong, and how frustrated he gets by those who simply don't get it. Because ambiguity over something that's so simple and right and wrong is something that doesn't puzzle him, it doesn't annoy him, it angers him, as it should us all, because there's no room for ambiguity when right and wrong is before you. Ambiguity means that you believe, of course, that there's a gray area between right and wrong. It means that there's no definitive aggressor, no definitive victim. It means that a country which has had thousands, not hundreds, thousands of rockets fired at it over the past decade is somehow denied its right to self-defense, indeed denied its right to defend its very existence. No, now is not the time for ambiguity. Now is indeed not the time for us to be shaky. Now is the time when free, democratic nations of the world must unite and to say clearly and firmly, we stand with Israel. Prime Minister Harper said it best when he said it himself. He said, quote, when Israel, the only country in the world whose very existence is under attack, is consistently singled out for condemnation, I believe we are morally obligated to take a stand. The only country in the world whose very existence is under attack, we have a moral obligation. So it's under his leadership, indeed, that we've done just that, with no uncertain terms, no ambiguity, no shakiness. We made it clear from the instant that we saw what was happening that your government, the government of Canada, holds the terrorist entity of Hamas responsible for this violence. Et je sais qu'il y en a ceux et celles qui sont ici qui sont des francophones. Je veux que vous entendiez ce message aussi simplement. Comme le Premier ministre l'a affirmé, lorsque Israël est le seul pays au monde dont l'existence même est menacée, c'est constamment et ouvertement pointé du doigt et condamné, je crois que nous avons l'obligation morale de prendre notre position. And make no mistake, And make no mistake, as Mark said so well, those who pose a threat to the existence of Israel pose a threat to us all. And that is why we must, regardless of political stripe or persuasion, come together as Canadians and say that enough is enough. Now, this is indeed not a partisan speech. I don't mean it to be a partisan speech or to take a shot at any other partisans. We wish all political parties would stand up and be as aggressive and as forceful as Prime Minister Harper has been. And, I flew down here just after question period today up in Parliament, and, a lot of interesting topics get raised in question period. As a matter of fact, just over the past couple of weeks as Minister of Heritage, I've been asked a bunch of interesting questions. I've been asked where the T-shirts in the gift shop on Parliament Hill were made. I've been asked whether or not the government plans to take a strong stand on the banning of shark fin soup. There's actually legislation before Parliament on the matter, if you can believe it. We've been asked if the next justice to the Supreme Court should be perfectly, flawlessly, officially bilingual. But Israel doesn't come up nearly as much as it should from all parties in Canada, and it ought to. Because the values of democracy, the values of human rights, and the rule of law that we hold so dear so we can talk about all these, frankly, smaller topics, those are the same values that are under attack in Sderot and under Beersheba. Their right to live their lives without fear is a constant terror, and it's the same right that should be enjoyed not only in Canada, but those who are, as we sit here, who are huddled in a shelter in the Negev. And I would like to I would like to thank the UJA Federation and the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs for bringing us together this evening. Yes, the Jewish community of Toronto. Yes, a friend of the Jewish community from British Columbia. Et j'aimerais conclure en disant que notre gouvernement continuera sans équivoque à appuyer l'Israël. In closing, I just want to say, to make it very clear to all of you and to all Canadians who are watching, and indeed around the world, all those who are watching, Prime Minister Stephen Harper in Canada, we stand proudly with Israel.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Wolfe, and I am the chair of UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of UJA Federation and everyone here tonight to Minister Moore for delivering such inspirational and supportive words on behalf of the Government of Canada. Minister Moore, at this point, my notes say to invite everyone to take a moment to display our appreciation and gratitude for Prime Minister Stephen Harper's government. I think you've seen and heard the genuine appreciation and affection with which the entire government and parliamentarians are held. We thank you for your ongoing and uncompromising support of the people and the state of Israel. As chair of UJA Federation of Greater Toronto, I am so proud to see the turnout for tonight's rally, a rally that UJA Federation, with the help of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, planned quickly, practically overnight, to galvanize our community. It has long been said that in times of crisis, we are Israel's secret weapon. As you know, Israel needs our love, our solidarity, and our support now, perhaps more than ever. The fact that you are all here this evening, together with the thousands more watching, says all that needs to be said about our incredible Jewish community. Your presence is a vital and powerful demonstration of our solidarity with the people of Israel, particularly those living in the southern region. And really, that is why we are here tonight, to tell the innocent men, women, and children living for over a decade in the line of fire from Hamas terrorists in Gaza that they are not alone. We are here to tell them that the rocket attacks that they have been subjected to for over the last 12 years must not, cannot, and will not be tolerated any longer. As a free, democratic Canadian community, we stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel and let the world know that until all residents of Israel can lead lives free of danger, fear, and anxiety, we cannot lead totally normal lives either. As chair of UJA Federation, I am truly proud of the ongoing role that we play in a number of Israeli cities and towns, and especially of the essential role we play in Sderot. Since 2007, UJA has been there day in and day out with the strong and courageous people of this small, close-knit community. To be able to spring into action so quickly and efficiently during times like this is only possible by being there 24/7, 365 days a year. It's that regular presence in Sderot and our familiarity with the city that allows UJA Federation, with the help of its network of partners on the ground, to make such a difference. I am proud to announce that already 2 of our agencies are distributing relief funds to victims of rocket attacks, as well as treating victims of post-trauma distress. And when a ceasefire is inevitably called, UJA Federation's incredible team of professionals and volunteers will remain right there, shoulder to shoulder with the residents of Sderot. To all of you here tonight, and to those watching across the GTA, I thank you for your spirit, your passion, and your ongoing commitment and support of the people of Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Even though we stand side by side with the people of Israel, the uncertain situation faced by nearly 5 million Israelis is still difficult for us to understand. Living the constant face of fear is not something that we Canadians routinely experience. Hopefully, the video you're about to see will give you a much better insight into a life interrupted by constant sirens and the risk of death just seconds away.
החמאס וארגוני הטרור בחרו להסלים בימים האחרונים את התקפותיהם על אזרחי ישראל. איננו מוכנים להשלים עם מצב שבו אזרחי ישראל מאוימים בטרור של ירי רקטות.
موت لإسرائيل نحن نعتمد على الله
תסתכלי. מאמה, תיכנס הביתה. תסתכלי, זה בבית. וואו, זה בסיטי. זה בתוך הבית.
כל טריקה של דלת מקפיץ אותנו. די, אי אפשר לחיות ככה. זה לא שפוי, זה לא שפוי.
שמענו את כל הפיצוצים ואז יצאנו לראות מה בדיוק קורה באמת. נורא מפחיד.
שנתיים, שנים 8 חודשים בגטו. אני לא פוחדת, אבל אישה חלה, אני לא, להפך.
בתקופה האחרונה ללא הפסקה. אין לנו חיים, אנחנו לא יוצאים מהבית, לא הולכים לאף מקום.
סיימתי את השיחה ופתאום אזעקה בום! אמרתי, זה הבית שלי. זה הבית שלי. לא ידעתי מה לעשות.
We are blessed here in Toronto with young people whose passion for Israel is boundless. Young men and women who demonstrate their dedication to Israel hour after hour, day after day. Among them, is Jessica Chernusof, a campus activist with Hillel of Greater Toronto, supported by UJ Federation and the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. Welcome, help me now, welcome please, Jessica Chernusof.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Chernusof, a student at York University, and I am honored to participate in such a truthful event, which has been put together to support Israel in its fight against terrorist forces committed in her destruction. As an Israeli and Canadian citizen, I am deeply saddened by the current situation in Israel. We pray for the people of Israel to remain safe, strong, and united as a nation, with the strength of Hashem. However, as a student, I am outraged for the lack of concern for Israel in the media and the insufficient support from other nations for Israel's right to exist, right to self-defense. Despite strong expressions of understanding from Canada and the United States. As a student of a Canadian university, I see the lies being spread by groups on campus. As a Jewish student, my heart is truly broken when I see hate toward Israel being the center of such groups, and this is hatred disguised as freedom of speech. As Jewish students on campus, all across Canada, we promote what we love, while others promote what they hate, both being the state of Israel. In these times, we must unite, stand together, and not allow our spirit to be broken. Together we are strong, we are one, and we will triumph. At York University, the Jewish students organized an event through Hillel to show their support. We wore the color red to represent Tseva Adom, the terrifying red alert when the sirens sound and the residents of southern Israel have just mere seconds to flee from an incoming missile. It has become a daily occurrence to escape into a bomb shelter to save their lives. We walked proudly at school with our Israeli and Canadian flags to a central area on campus. There we recited O Canada and Atikva and prayed for the citizens of Israel who risk their lives every day. This was a remarkable and emotional moment in the history of York University, a moment of peace, unity, and love. We should always be proud of who we are, what we are, and why we are. Always looking upon each other for support, whether in Israel or in the diaspora, we feel the effects of war. In the moment of unity, we blocked out the hate and the darkness that was thrown upon us for supporting the Jewish state. Hatred weakens our enemies, while we rise and stand firm. Love for one another and for our country is stronger than hate. Our enemies did not break us then, and they surely will not break us today. Wherever we may stand in the world, we stand with Israel. When we do so, we will always prevail. I would like to thank UJA for supporting and putting on this event in support of Israel. Thank you.
Jessica, we're certainly proud of you and the other students who work so hard to defend and stand up for what's right on behalf of Israel and on behalf of the Jews. One other note, had I met you beforehand, I wouldn't have mangled your family name. So, many observers of the current conflict tend to view the challenge of Hamas as a Jewish problem. It is a global problem that affects everyday life of every faith, including Theo Caldwell. Few people know this better than Theo, an author, columnist, broadcaster, and investment advisor who has not only been to Israel, but visited the country during Operation Cast Lead, the last Israeli offensive against Hamas. Please help for a warm welcome to Theo Caldwell.
I'll keep this brief, as I am by far the least qualified person that you're going to hear from. I have no special expertise like David Frum. I have no official portfolio like Mr. Moore or the Consul General. To tell you the truth, I am no more than half Jewish. And before you ask, the good half. In point of fact, I'm just some guy with a big mouth who supports the state of Israel, and it turns out we have a lot of those too, so I really will keep this short. Now, I was invited to make some remarks tonight. As I commenced to prepare, I thought of 3 questions that I wanted to address. What's happening? Why does it matter? What can we do about it? What's happening? Why does it matter? And what can we do about it? What's happening? Let's start with the basics. About 2 weeks ago, Hamas began firing rockets from Gaza into Israel. Israel has responded. International political leaders have, as usual, called on both sides to settle down, as though it were our idea that this happened in the first place. And the media have responded, as usual, documenting the casualties on both sides and blaming them all on Israel. Now, there is considerable contemplation as to just why Hamas chose to pick this fight now, including that perhaps they want to demonstrate their rocket capacity and resolve to their rivals and their allies. I just say about that, if Hamas wants to show its strength for the edification of Fatah or Hezbollah or the Muslim Brotherhood or Iran or whatever else, why don't they just fire rockets at each other and leave us out of it? But nobody asked me. As for Israel, I know this is part of a dynamic, as has been said earlier, that people in peaceful lands don't always get. We cannot relate in the larger context. Israel is surrounded every day by people who hate their guts and want to kill them. The closest I get that is having been at the New York Stock Exchange. I don't know. But why is it important? Why is this important? Why are you all, thousands of you here tonight? I think it's because we bang on about freedom a lot in this part of the world. We talk about it all the time. Freedom this, freedom that. A lot of it's just so much chin music. It's all relative. But for us, there's no immediate, external, doorstep threat to our liberty and our existence. But here's Israel. It's an outpost of freedom among brutal tyrannies and hostile powers facing constant and existential threats. What good are we here? Do we mean what we say? Do we even understand what freedom is? As anything besides a slogan if we cannot speak up in unequivocal terms at times like this? That's why it's important. And that leads to my third and final question. What can we do about it? Most of us do not have a megaphone like David Frum or a portfolio like Minister Moore. And most of us live our lives between conversations, moment to moment, doing the best we can with what and whom we encounter. And as Jessica pointed out, what we encounter when it comes to Israel on a daily basis can be pretty ugly. Talking about Israel with people is like talking about politics in general. People cram all their frustrations from elsewhere into their lives into that one topic. And if you cross one of their tripwires, whammo, they'll let you have it. Now, I do not believe it makes you an anti-Semite to refer to Israel as an occupier. It might make you an idiot, but it does not necessarily make you an anti-Semite. I say that and I joke about it. We shouldn't talk about it necessarily those ways. What we must do, what we can do, is be patient with people, patient with each other. And I know that those opposed to us, those who don't agree with us, they're not patient with us, but that's not our problem. That's not under our purview. We cannot help what other people do. The reality is most people don't know anything about anything. They learn hatred phonetically. They learn the sounds and phrases they're supposed to mimic to identify the object they are instructed to despise, but common hatred can rarely withstand scrutiny. And day to day, we living here must respond to those who despise us with patience, forbearance, and the truth. I don't want to put anyone off by being partisan. I know that's not what we're going to do here. I'll leave most of that to the big kids anyway. But I'd like to say this. On a local basis, when it comes to local interactions, politics and culture in this part of the world, it would be wise, I believe, for my Jewish friends to cotton on to who their true friends really are. I think you will find some of the staunchest supporters of the Jewish people and of Israel in the Conservative Party here in Canada and in the Republican Party in the United States. Now, as was mentioned, I was in Israel. We were in Israel in 2009 with Julia Koschitzky and the Canada-Israel Committee. And I was born 12 days before the Yom Kippur War began in 1973. I defer to those of you who were there, some of you may have served in that conflict, to consider how that might have shaken out if Republican President Richard Nixon had not sent the Sixth Fleet into the Mediterranean to support Israel during that conflict. No one in that party or in the Conservative Party of Canada will rise to power without making support for Israel a sine qua non. But it's not just about politics, it's a cultural matter. And those of us who are traditional people, who understand the goodness, the aspiration to freedom and humanity, and the light of hope against hope that Israel represents, realize how important this is. I would urge my Jewish friends, especially at times like this, not to disdain, but to embrace the freely offered friendship of every denomination of the Christian faith. I'm Presbyterian, which is Christian but Scottish, and I can tell you that to us this is very important. You don't need to convert, you don't need to celebrate Christmas, you don't need to watch Benny Hinn, but at least remember this. When we go to church, and I do, we come together gratefully and gladly to worship a Jew. Not all of you mind, just one in particular, but even so. It is written on our hearts to love and support Israel and the Jewish people. No matter how messed up you may think we are, and believe me, you have no idea, please just accept that. It is part of who we are to stand with Israel, and we do. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Theo, and clearly your family has both better halves. Now, rather than just talking about Israel, let's go directly to Israel. Live from Tel Aviv, here is one of the Jewish world's most respected volunteer, our own Julia Koschitzky. And just as a personal aside for a moment, to illustrate why Julie commands and deserves such respect, yesterday she and her husband Henry celebrated the engagement of their grandson Adir here in Toronto. After the party, in fact, I was there in the middle of the party, Julie and Henry went off to the airport, boarded a plane for Israel, and that's where we find Julie right there, right now, a little after 3 a.m. in the morning.
Morris, thank you. Morris, can you hear me?
Oh, we can.
Thank you for your beautiful words. I don't think I have ever felt more proud to be a Canadian citizen, to be a member of our Jewish community than I have tonight, listening to all of you express your sentiments about our country in Canada and Israel and the incredible bond that exists between them. I'm sitting here really to offer all of you, my family, my extended family in Toronto, and the broader community at large who have reached out to us with an outstretched arm of friendship and support. I offer you a warm embrace, although it's very chilly up here on the rooftop of the Intercontinental Hotel in Tel Aviv, where I'm surrounded by many supporters and friends, some whom you will recognize in a moment, because they have flown here from our community of Toronto to express their profound solidarity with the people of Israel. They deserve to introduce themselves and have their moment on the screen. So please.
Arnie Aberman. Again now. Arnie Aberman.
Fernando Murray. Howard Katz. Glenn Pearl.
Thank you very much. We are joined by Johanna Yoki Arbi, a great friend of the Jewish people, someone who's no stranger to Toronto, for she has visited our community in her role as chairman of the United Israeli People Karen Hayesod campaigns worldwide. We're so honored, Yoki, that you've flown here today from Rome to address us, but more importantly, to be with us. We love you for doing this, and we are truly honored that you are here. And on my right, we have with us Lieutenant Colonel Avital Leibovich, who heads the foreign press desk of Israel Defense Forces, and in that capacity is also very involved in the social networking. So if you receive a tweet from her, and if you feel that the news is more balanced, thank our Lieutenant Colonel. And on my left, we are very, very touched that we have a family here with us from Kibbutz Kfar Gaza. They are Omir and Orit, their 4 beautiful children, Gali, Meital, Lior, and Liram Zadikovich. And we thank you for being with us, because you live in the heart of trauma, and we appreciate your presence with us. I think that all of us tonight, whether we are in one of the 4 locations in Toronto, 5,000 strong, or whether we are participating in solidarity rallies across Canada, and I'm proud to say that every community from Halifax to Vancouver will be offering some expression of their support during the coming week. Wherever we are experiencing a very eerie sense of deja vu. We have been here too many times for so many solidarities rallies in the past. The only difference for me is I am here and not there with you, as I usually am, sitting beside you in our collective yearning and desire to come together in a spirit of oneness. Even though we may be thousands of miles apart tonight, I want you to know that your participation and your expression is a way of enlisting in Israel's struggle for survival. And all of you have been with us from the very beginning. From the War of Independence, to the Suez Canal War, to the Six-Day War, the Yom Kippur, the Lebanon War, the Gulf War, the 2 intifadas, and the recent Lebanon and Gaza wars. You were always with us with outpouring of solidarity and support. And you should know your presence and support does not go unnoticed. And when we think of all the wars, the war that we are now facing, it really brings to mind Daniel Gordon's comment when he said, and I quote, "It feels like it never ends. For at the end, all the wars are the same, and we cannot afford to lose. So that is why every Shabbat in Israel and around the world, in every congregation, we recite special prayer that Hashem should guard our precious soldiers from every stress, trouble along the way, from every ambush, and send blessings and success all that they do. And as the Consul General mentioned earlier on, J.J. Schneeweiss, it is the IDF that gives us our strength and our dignity and our pride every day of the week, every week of the year, and every year of our lifetime. We can also draw strength, as has been said so many times this evening, from the community here in Israel. And even though I've only been here 15 hours, I feel a greater sense of calm than I have felt over the last 5 days, because I'm strengthened and inspired by the resilience and courage of each and every Israeli citizen, for they have the capacity to live under pressure and under constant stress and still continue to do all the things that must be done, like my children and grandchildren in Renana, who tell me they think about the 60 seconds they have after hearing a siren to find cover, and that my 6-year-old grandson tell me the most direct and quickest way to find safety. This is what life here in Israel is all about. And we can draw strength from each other, because there is a direct connection between what we do in all our communities around the world, how much we do, how visible we are, and how much Israel can achieve. The call from Israel is being heard across every country in the world, and there is nobody better to speak to us about the communities around the world than our own Johanna David Frum.
Thank you. As usual, you're an inspiration. Thank you for being by my side for the last 20 years as my mentor. And thank you for continuing to be with me and give me that inspiration to be the Jewish leader that I've become in the last 20 years. My friends for Canada, it's not for me to be with you to participate in this wonderful rally of Jews from Greater Toronto to show your solidarity to Israel. Israel, our nation, Israel, our home away from home, the country that no one will take away from us, no uncertain terms. This is a statement we all buy with and that we all believe in. Israel is the country of miracles. And I'm proud to report of the solidarity of Jews from all over the world, from our 55 campaigns, Synagogue campaigns, all over the world, who have responded to the call to action, stepping up, being here with Israel, with the citizens of the South, citizens of the Center in times of need. Our support has been in urgent needs in mainly 4 areas. We have responded to the call that Israel played on us. We are building bomb shelters, renovating over 300 bomb shelters in the south and in the north of Israel. We have already, I'm proud to say that we have already raised over $1.5 million, including money from Canada, to renovate these bomb shelters, and we have a few more million. Keeping up our fund for victims of terror, giving immediate need those families that have been hurt by terror attacks. And here, right on my left, we have one of those families. We are giving respite to children and teenagers who live under constant terror attack, taking them out of the shelters for 24 hours of fun and rest, just way of the terror has been hitting Israel for, should I say, the last hour, the last days, the last weeks, but more correctly, I should say the last 12 years. As Julie just stated, I just flew from Rome only a couple of hours ago on my way to Israel. Let me tell you that I share Julie's feeling today. There's no other place in the world that I want to be now more than here in Israel to show our solidarity to the people of Israel in times of need. We are one united Jewish people, and you, the Jews of Toronto, and the friends of the Jews of Toronto are showing your solidarity to the people of Israel in times of need. Because, my dear friends, Kol Arevim Ze Lazeh, Am Israel Chai, we are one united Jewish family. This is greater time of need to the people of Israel. Kol HaKavod to you, and God bless you.
It's now my honor to hand the microphone over to our Lieutenant Colonel Avital Leibovich.
Thank you, Julie, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to speak to you this evening or very early morning here in Israel. Today was a relatively quiet day in Israel. You ask, what's a quiet day like? Only 116 rockets. We have launched Operation Defense 6 days ago. The goal of the operation was very clear to us. First and foremost, to defend 3.5 million people, half of the population of this country, that are currently under heavy rocket fire. The second goal was to cripple the various terror organizations inside the Gaza Strip, led by Hamas, from their arsenals of weapons and rockets of various ranges. Five is an Iranian-manufactured rocket. Iran is the only country in the world that has this rocket and has passed to Hamas and to the Islamic Jihad in Gaza. This rocket can reach a range of 75 kilometers, which means the city of Tel Aviv, the area of Jerusalem, and other areas in the country, putting once again more than 3 million Israelis under this danger. Later on, we found a lot more targets. Actually, we targeted over 1,350 targets in Gaza. Many of them were launchers, but it's not a launcher that you put on the back of a truck and you fire a missile from. We're talking about sophisticated launchers that are underground, that are automatically opening from the ground. You cannot even see them. The launchers were loaded with rockets, and there are thousands and thousands of rockets inside the Gaza Strip. We continued with different kind of terror operatives, or militants as we call them, that were about to launch rockets or about to execute some kind of terror activities. Time and time again, we faced the urban warfare issue. We in the IDF, sometimes the world doesn't notice it, but we in the IDF put great efforts to try and minimize casualties. And we did this in a couple of ways. First of all, we dropped leaflets telling the population, the local population, where to go. We warned them of getting too close to Hamas sites and launching areas. Then we took over the Hamas radio and played messages there, in case they didn't see the leaflets. So, proof enables us to signal to a terrorist inside the house that we know he's there and we're asking him to go out. It's a little bomb that doesn't have explosives, but does make a noise when it's touching the building. Overall, I can tell you that we have a remarkable success rate of minimum of casualties, really. According to the numbers I have, approximately 90 casualties. The majority of them were terrorists. Only a very small percentage, although tragic, were civilian casualties. The Iron Dome batteries are deployed all around the country. Currently, there are 5 Iron Dome batteries deployed. They have intercepted over 300 rockets. This means that 0.5% of the total number of rockets landed in urban areas inside Israel. And the number of rockets that were fired towards Israel since the beginning of this operation stands at about 800 rockets. So do the math, divide this by 6 days, and you understand how many rockets were fired a day. Currently, we see that Hamas is under great pressure, and we see this in 2 signs. The first thing is that the Hamas leaders have gone into hiding. Yeah, you're probably thinking what I want to tell you. They're hiding in mosques, they're hiding in hospitals, they're hiding in schools, all the civilian places that endanger the population in the area. In addition, Hamas has started spreading many falsehoods regarding the situation. Among these falsehoods, Hamas claimed that when he targeted Tel Aviv, 3 people were killed. Of course, this did not happen. Hamas also claimed he targeted the Israeli parliament, and this also did not happen. As he claimed that he targeted the stock exchange in Tel Aviv or kidnapped soldiers. These are things that indicate the great pressure that Hamas is currently under. As for the ground operation, I'm sure you're eager to know, we have recruited approximately 30,000 reservists. They're currently in the outskirts of the Gaza Strip. Some of them are in training bases. There is no decision for ground operation at this point. However, should we need to go inside Gaza, we as a military are ready. And finally, I'd like to say that as a military, we are determined to defend this country, to protect 3.5 million Israelis. The morale is high. We feel that the support that we're getting from the people of the country is very strong. I would like to thank you for your support as well. It's very meaningful. And on behalf of the IDF, I would like to really send a message, a personal message from me to you, saying thank you for all your warmth and kindness and support. Thank you.
To our family who are here, who live in the heart of the trauma and the troubles, whose children have never known a day without Qassam missiles falling on them, and whose lives have been disrupted now, who can no longer live on their kibbutz while this is happening. So I would like to ask Orit, the mother and wife, to address us.
Hello, my name is Orit. I was born in a beautiful kibbutz named Kfar Aza. I grew up there, and I live there now with my husband and my 4 children. And for the last 12 years, it was impossible for us to live their normal life. 2 weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with the siren, and I found myself thinking, which child should I take first to the safety room? And this is a situation that I wish no mother should be in. 2 months ago, it was the first day of school. Everybody were wearing white shirts. We all were very, very excited. First day, it was a new school, first day. We drove them by the car. And the minute we got to the school at 8 o'clock in the morning, again, there was a siren, there was a attack of rockets, and it was all the excitement, everything was gone, and then it was all again a fear, frightening. Kids were screaming, and it was very, very bad situation, and we found it very, very hard.
Hello, my name is Omer. Our kibbutz is 1.5 kilometers from the fence of Gaza. Means that when there is a siren that says Tzeva Adom, color red, we don't have the time to hear all of it. It happens 1 second after it starts, so we have to run away to our mobile bomb shelters. And actually, until I came here today, I was feeling very lonely with what's happening. And when I'm getting into these bomb shelters, and today I know who is supporting us and from where we get these bomb shelters, and I want to thank you very much for it. Children to go somewhere when it happens, and I hope it will stop, because everything that happens doesn't have to show blood. It will kill them inside. So I hope it will stop, and thank you very much.
Orit and Omer, and I thank all of you in Toronto and the rest of Canada, those sitting with us, and the entire nation of Israel May all our prayers and thoughts in our hearts and our minds be answered. And by the time that we return to Toronto, may there be peace.
Julie, I don't know if she can hear. Okay. You're there. Just, Julie, one last word, which is if you can just say the obvious to everyone that's with you, which is it's not for them to thank us, it's really for us to thank them, and just please give them our thanks. Now, from Tel Aviv back to Toronto, where tonight on stage we can show you the visible, indivisible link between the people of Israel and our Jewish Toronto. As the Pillar of Defense operations began, 4 of Israel's finest young soldiers were meeting with men and women their age on our own university campuses here to show them the IDF's human dimensions. This evening, we're proud to introduce Sergeant Bar Pellet, Lieutenant Netta Shinkov, First Sergeant Ehud Ilan, and Sergeant Chamutal Ziedler. Please come up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Netta Shinkov. I'm almost 22 years old, living in Toron, which is in the center of Israel, serving at the Israeli Air Force as IAF Youth Corps officer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ehud Ilan. I'm from the old city of Jerusalem. My job in the Army right now, I'm a counter-terrorism instructor of the settlements in the West Bank and around Gaza Strip. And I'm training the civilians in case terrorists go into their area, and how to react and how to respond. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bar Pelad. I live in Jerusalem. I'm 21 years old. During my service, I serve as a squad commander at the Field Intelligence Unit up in the northern border with Lebanon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chamutal Ziedler. I'm 20 years old. I live with my parents in Kiryat Yivon, which is in the north of Israel. And currently I'm serving in the Army in the IDF spokesperson unit, where I am responsible for any connection between the IDF and Jewish organizations and government officials all over the world. A few months ago, I got an amazing opportunity of joining a group of 40 young adults from Toronto and the area for 5 days in Israel, through Taglit Birthright Israel CIE, during which we learned together about Israel and Judaism and taught each other about our different but quite the same lives. The experience had not only strengthened the Jewish identity of the Birthright participants from Toronto, but it also strengthened my own Jewish identity. I understood that I don't just represent and defend Israel, but I do it for the entire Jewish people all around the world. We all here are lucky to be chosen to present the IDF in those days here in Toronto because of the reverse mifgash through UJA, Canada-Israel Experience, and Taglit Birthright Israel. The purpose of the trip is to maintain and strengthen our connection with the entire Jewish community in Toronto and the area, speak to Jewish students, and meet our friends from birthright. I have to say that the first thing I've observed is how strong and united this community is. The second we've heard something is going on in Israel, our first urge was to call our commanders and ask if we're needed anywhere, and find the next flight back to Israel. What also happened at the same time, which is the reason why all of us are still here, is that I got so much word and supportive phone calls from my friends from Birthright, and I saw the support, the huge support and solidarity we have all over the Jewish community of Toronto, and I was simply amazed. I want to share a personal story with you. I have an aunt, her name is Gilat. She lives with her family in Kibbutz Ufa, which is right on the border with the Gaza Strip. And right now she hasn't left her shelter in days. She simply can't live like that, like approximately 1 million other people. Her son, my cousin Ben, is a combat soldier in active duty. I am praying for them and for all of us that everything will get better soon. I want to thank all of you for your support, not just tonight, but for everything you do for the state of Israel. And I just want to ask you one thing: stay connected. Don't just listen to the news, but look for what really is happening. Stand up for your beliefs and be an ambassador of Israel wherever there are people who would listen. Thank you.
At the age of 20, 21, or 22, most of us, when we have kids that age, are worried if they have the card out a little late. These are really our heroes. These are the protectors. Oh, well. We are honored that one of Toronto's most dynamic new rabbis is joining us here tonight. Rabbi Daniel Korobkin of Beth Avram Yosef congregation has already made a major mark on his shul community and our larger Jewish community as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a personal honor for me to introduce the rabbi of my shul, Daniel Korobkin.
They didn't tell me I was going to be standing with the Chayalim. I am so humbled. One more time, a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, the hour is late, and therefore allow me just to get to the point and to address the people of Israel. Canadian Jewry stands with you tonight and every night in your struggle for peace against an enemy who seeks your very annihilation. The Canadian Jewish community is a proud community, proud of the fact that our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, and his government support Israel, love Israel, and seek Israel's welfare as only a true friend can. May God bless Israel. And may God bless Canada and Prime Minister Harper. To the Palestinians of Gaza and throughout the world, if any of you can hear my voice and see our resolve this evening, if you seek to live alongside us in peace, you are not our enemy. And indeed, Israel is not your enemy. Rather, your leaders are the enemy. Those who would rather see your children dead if it means they can also harm one more Israeli child, who would rather see your homes destroyed if it means that they can also destroy one more home in Israel. We mourn both for our losses and for yours, because we realize how infinitely precious human life is. We realize that those lives which have been snuffed out on both sides of the border will never again laugh or cry, grow old, or see another sunset. But do not view our love for life as weakness as your leaders mislead you. They tell you that you must glorify death and embrace it, that is the key to strength. But we say to you just the opposite, that when you cherish life, when you realize the power contained within the human soul, the ability for each and every human being to accomplish great things, to build and to create beauty in this world, it only makes you stronger. That, together with God's constant protection of us, His people, is the key to the strength of the Jewish people. That is why no one throughout our thousands-year history has been able to destroy us. We realize our special mission in life, and it propels us with a sense of purpose and meaning. It is why Israel is so successful and thriving like a rose among the thorns in the desert. We wish to share our vision with you, to see you grow as our brother or sister beside us. But make no mistake, it is that very resolve and love for life that makes us protect our people with the ferocity and strength of a lion. Our brothers and sisters in Israel are our mishpacha. When you attack one of them, whether it be in Kiryat Malachi, in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, you attack all of us. And we will continue to fight with all that we have to defend ourselves. We know that God is on our side. For Hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael, the guardian of Israel neither sleeps nor slumbers, that He is watching over us and protect us. Am Yisrael Chai. Say it with me. Am Yisrael Chai. Again. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Everyone, please rise for the prayer for our Chayalim and for the prayer for the state of Israel. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, hu yivarech et chayalei tzava hagana liYisrael, haomdim al mishmar artzenu ve'arei Eloheinu migvul halevanon v'ad midbar Mitzrayim, u'min hayam hagadol ad levo ha'arava, vayabasha ba'avir vayam. Yitein Adonai es oyevenu hakamim aleinu nigafim lifnehem. Hakadosh Baruch Hu yishmor v'yatzil et chayalenu mikol tzara v'tzuka u'mikol nega u'machala. V'yishlach beracha v'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedehem. Yadber son'enu tachtehem v'yatereim b'cheter Yeshua v'ateret nitzachon. V'kuyam b'hem hakatuv ki Adonai Elohechem ha'olech imachem lihilachem lachem imo yevechem lohoshia etchem v'nomar amen. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Gulatenu, Hagen alea bevrat chasdecha, Ufros aleha sukat shalomecha, Ushlach oracha v'amitecha lerasheha, Sareha v'yoatzeha, V'takenem be'itza tova milefanecha, Chazek et idei meginei eretz kodshenu, V'hanchilem Eloheinu Yeshua, V'ateret nitzachon teaterem, V'natata shalom ba'aretz v'simchat olam liyosheveha. Ve'et achenu kol beit Yisrael, pekodna b'chol artzot pezureihem, v'tolichem mehira kol mimiyut l'tzion irecha, v'li Yerushalayim mishkan shemecha. Kakatuv b'torat Moshe avdecha, im hiye nidachacha b'ktzei hashamayim, misham yikabetzcha Adonai Elohecha misham yikachecha. Ve'heviacha Adonai Elohecha el haaretz asher yorashu avotecha v'rishta, ve'hitivacha v'hirbecha me'avotecha. V'yached levavenu li'ahava li'yirat shemecha, v'lishmor et kol divrei Toratecha, u'shlach lanu mehira ben David Mashiach tzidkecha, liftot mechakeketz Yeshuatecha. Hofa bahadar ga'onuzecha, al kol yoshevei tevel artzecha, v'yomar kol asher nishama v'yapo, Adonai Elohei Yisrael melech, u'malchuto ba'kol mashala. Amen. Selah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Korobkin, and thank you again. Our keynote speaker tonight is a voice and a familiar face to many, many of us. Born in Toronto, David Frum has enjoyed an illustrious career as a journalist, author, and political advisor. David is a contributing editor at Newsweek, Daily Beast, a regular CNN contributor, and is the author of 7 books. He served as a special assistant to President George W. Bush during the height of the War on Terror, and is intimately familiar with the political machinations at work behind the headlines that we read every day. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to David Frum.
Morris, thank you. Revered rabbis, Mr. Consul General, Minister Moore, Leader Hudak, Senator Linda Frum, the outstanding leadership of the Toronto and Canadian UJA, one of the most dynamic United Jewish Appeals anywhere on this planet, honored guests in 3 halls, and all who are within reach of my voice by video. I salute you. It has been said often tonight that this battle that Israel faces is not a battle for territory. It is a battle that is waged instead inside the public mind. And in that battle, every one of you, because of your participation in events like this, every one of you is a soldier. As you participate in this event, you do not just stand with Israel, you fight for her. There's a question that haunts every Israeli. Are we alone? When rockets slam into Israeli schools and homes, when suicide bombers detonate themselves, when media organizations recirculate images from the Syrian civil war as if they occurred in Gaza, when international organizations condemn with fine impartiality both those who commit terrorist atrocities and those who defend against terrorist atrocities. When those things happen, as they do again and again, that is always the question Israelis ask. Are we alone? Well, let them look at this hall. Israel is not alone. I wish everyone in Israel could see this hall tonight. Here are gathered Jews and Christians, believers and atheists, men and women, and girls and boys of every age, gathered from so many countries of origin in this great multicultural city of Toronto, all to say, we stand with Israel. Now, all of us here carry Israel in our hearts, but most of us also carry a piece of Israel in our pockets. The camera in your smartphone is a technology invented in Israel. I hope you will make use of those cameras tonight, that you will take photographs of this great meeting to distribute via social media and the internet, more technologies to which Israel has contributed so greatly. We want them to see this rally in Tel Aviv and know Israel is not alone. We want them to see this meeting in Jerusalem and know Israel is not alone. And yes, we want them to see this meeting in Gaza, in Cairo, in Doha, and Tehran. We want them all to know Israel is not alone. No country on earth faces such hatred as Israel does. Yet we are not here to express hatred in return. We are here to express love. Love for the land of Israel, for the brave people of Israel, and for the heroic armed forces of Israel. We are here to express gratitude to those good people of every faith and every country who have supported Israel and its people. In your millions, we thank you. We are here to express respect for those in the Arab and Islamic world who work for peace alongside Israel. We yearn for a future shared with you. And we're here to express sympathy for the Palestinian men, women, and children who have been exploited as human shields by killers and who have been plunged into poverty, statelessness, and violence by leaders who flinched from leadership. We are here to express sadness at the terrible cost of these long decades of unnecessary strife to all the peoples of the region. And we are here to express confidence that the people of Israel still live
and will ever live in freedom, dignity, and democracy. As has been said so often and so proudly tonight by so many distinguished people, we are here to express tremendous pride in Canada and the government of Canada. The state of Israel has no stronger and more reliable friend than Canada and its government. That has been said again and again too. And what is important, when you go to Israel, you know the people of Israel know it. What a wonderful thing to say, and may Canadians always be able to say it. The enemies of Israel are proud to say, as the rabbi pointed out, that they love death. The friends of Israel do not share their nihilism. The Jewish people have known too much death. Israel loves life so much that Israelis risk their own lives to minimize the loss of life, even among Israel's enemies. By the most recent count, 1,540 rockets have been fired from Gaza into Israel this year. 9 rockets were fired in January of 2012, 36 rockets were fired in February of 2012, 173 rockets were fired in March of 2012, and so it went through the year. Against this indiscriminate violence, Israel has responded with restraint. An advanced country like Israel possesses fearsome powers of destruction. But while Israel's enemies respect no limits, while they are as happy to kill children as adults, to hit a hospital as to hit an airplane, Israel has applied its advanced technology to the almost impossible, the excruciatingly difficult task of targeting as precisely as possible to spare the innocent and to protect the vulnerable. We mourn the death of non-combatants. We see and feel the grief of Palestinian parents weeping the loss of a child, even in those cases where we know those same grieving parents would not mourn the loss of a Jewish child. Yet even as the world media tally non-combatant losses, we stand here today to bear witness to the truth that no country in the history of warfare has done more than Israel to protect the civilian population of its enemies from the wars those enemies themselves started. Even as rockets fly from Gaza into Israel, electricity and drinking water continue to flow from Israel into Gaza. When Gazans are injured, they find treatment in Israeli hospitals. And when Gazans are hungry, it is through Israel that international aid arrives. When you see on TV or read online condemnations of Israel for this offense or that, think of this. Gaza is ruled by a terror group that would, if they could, commit genocide against the people of Israel. Israel is ruled by a democratically elected government that would, if it could, offer Gaza trade, aid, jobs, and development. After so many years of terrorism, the people of Israel have mighty reason for anger. Yet the greatest anger in Israel is anger that Israel has again been driven to fight when Israel did not want to fight. The greatest anger is that Israel must waste the talents of its people fighting wars instead of curing diseases, inventing devices, and leading all the Middle East to freedom, prosperity, and justice. It was only 2 months ago that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared before the United Nations to declare that if the Palestinians would commit to peace, to live in peace alongside Israel, Israel would be the first to welcome a Palestinian state to the United Nations. And even now, after those 1,540 rockets this year, and all the rockets last year, and all the suicide attacks of the Second Intifada, and all the wars waged against the State of Israel since before there was a State of Israel, even now, it is still true that Israel offers the Palestinians more than the Palestinians' own leaders offer them: real nationhood, real peace, real progress. We await the day when the Palestinians will produce leaders who can commit their people wholeheartedly to the path of peace with a Jewish Israel. We hope that day may come soon, and perhaps this latest round of unnecessary bloodshed
may even hasten that day. The world's diplomats and politicians are rushing to negotiate some kind of ceasefire that will end this round of violence. We all hope their work succeeds. But if and when they do succeed, we need to remember that they have only suspended, not put an end to, the long war against Israel. The origin of that war is found in the radical rejection of the existence of a Jewish state in the historic Jewish homeland. And it's not only Hamas that rejects the Jewish state. In fact, if Hamas were the only rejectionist group, Israel's problems would be more than manageable. Over the horizon of this local conflict, there looms a much more serious enemy, this one armed with rockets that can fly more than a dozen miles. This one seeking the deadliest warheads of them all. As Iran pursues its murderous ambitions, the Middle East will head to crisis compared to which today will seem a mere training exercise. Such a crisis must be averted. The day must never come when Israelis fear that the rockets aimed at them that send them into shelters might carry a nuclear payload. Today is the warning of that more terrible possibility. I do not want to send us into the night in a mood of alarm. The outside world has achieved remarkable success delaying and thwarting the Iranian nuclear program, and we have reason to hope that this success will continue and even improve. The International Atomic Energy Agency has reported that Iran has unexpectedly shut down its reactor at Bushehr, an indication of serious trouble at the Russian-built facility. A word of advice to any aspiring nuclear powers out there: made in Russia is not a sign of a quality nuclear product. Unfortunately, made in Iran will be a statement of nuclear terror. Nobody should expect Israel to subject its people to such a terror. Nobody. Not before this latest barrage, and certainly not after. Under communism, the Poles used to tell a joke. They said there were two possible solutions to the problems of the country, one practical, one miraculous. One solution was that communism would reform. That was the miraculous solution. The other was that the Virgin Mary of Czestochowa, attended by all the angels and archangels, would descend from heaven and put everything right. That was the practical solution. Sometimes when we look at the Middle East, we may be tempted to a similar kind of despair. Think again. In every decade since the creation of the state, Israel has grown stronger, richer, tougher, and more secure. The lives of its people have improved. The standard of living inside Israel today is double that inside Saudi Arabia, and will soon equal that of Italy. Meanwhile, those who have taken up conflict against Israel have seen their societies regress into primitivism, fanaticism, poverty, and backwardness. They offer their people only frustration and disappointment, their young men no future other than a promise of a better life after a grisly, self-inflicted death. The mighty prediction of almost 3,000 years ago still seems to hold today. I will bless them that bless you, and those who curse you, I will curse. The rockets backfire on those who shoot them. The people of Israel still live and thrive. We stand with them tonight and know that as we stand, so do millions of people of goodwill who seek what Israel seeks, a secure and lasting peace. Thank you.
David, thank you for your passion and for your remarkable ability to pierce through the PR rhetoric and illuminate the truth.